From the Vox Populi studios in Miami Lakes, we bring you the Miami Lakes Business Podcast, brought to you by the Miami Lakes Chamber of Commerce. And today we have with us a member of the chamber, young man, an attorney, Jose Fuentes from Fuentes Law, PA, and we're glad that you're with us today, Jose. Welcome to our program.
Glad to be here.
And let's go right to it. How long have you been practicing law?
So I graduated in 2013. So it's been 10 years. I've been practicing for 10 years. And as soon as I graduated, I opened my own practice, and I've been doing personal injury ever since.
So you didn't work with another attorney? You just went on your own?
Yes. No. When I graduated, I went on my own. But prior to that, I did work for some personal injury attorneys and foreclosure attorneys, and that's where I gathered my experience. And as soon as I graduated, I opened my own shop.
Yes, I think it's better when you're alone, and even though all the work you have to do, but still all the recompense, the rewards are greater.
It is, and you get the experience right away.
So, what type of cases does Fuentes Law PA handles?
Okay, so personal injury means that we present the victims of negligence of others, right? That could be a car accident, a boating accident, a trucking accident. It could be cases involving Uber, Lyft, could be trip and falls, slip and falls at stores, and also medical malpractice and products liability. So if a doctor makes a mistake, harms a patient, then we could do that as well.
So in your line of work, and when somebody has, let's say, an accident, either job related, which usually goes to a workers' compensation type, there's a difference. But other than that, the first thing they do is they call you.
Right.
And then what happens next? You send somebody, or you go yourself, or you invite the person to see you?
Well, that's one of the biggest difference of my practice, right? That I try to have the communication directly with the client, because I think that communication is so important in these cases as far as the treatment goes. Also communicating with the doctors to make sure that the correct procedures are being handled at the correct time. So no, they always have access to my telephone number. I handle all the cases myself. So that makes me different, I believe, for sure.
So people should feel much better and at ease when they deal with a small firm like yours than when they deal with one of those big ones that we all know who their names are. We're not going to mention them.
Right.
That you get shoved off, to different attorneys within the firm, and no one knows what's going on. And
attorneys are best. Most of the times, we're dealing with assistants or paralegals, and a lot of things get lost in the process, and all the information is important in these type of cases. Mm-hmm. Everything, absolutely.
Very good, very good. What determines the value of a case?
Okay, so there's many factors, right? The most important one is the insurance coverage that is available. That's one of the first things that we look for. We try to determine how much coverage there is, right? Because that's going to depend, in a car accident, what the at-fault party took out. It could have been $10,000, it could be $100,000, it could be $1 million. So that's going to give us the ceiling of the value of the case, the top number, the total amount, right? But from there, we have to investigate the injuries. Sometimes there's broken bones right away, sometimes there's surgery, other times the injuries are more hidden, it needs more investigation, more MRIs, more diagnostic testing. So it's a combination of the insurance that's available. In car accidents, the magnitude of the property damage. When we have accidents that you look at pictures and the damage is catastrophic, that's going to be a major factor. But ultimately is what we are able to ascertain from the medical investigation. What comes out of those MRIs is very important, and that's going to give us a determination as to what the value of the case may be.
And as far I'm sure that has to be correlated to to the type of injury. What part of the body is affected the most and becomes an impediment for the person to live a normal life, or
correct,
or to work or whatever. So I'm sure that varies from time to time.
Yeah, we see a lot of back injuries for sure. Herniated discs, tendon tears, ligament tears, those sort of
And
things.
you do obviously work together with is it designated doctors, or you work with the doctors that are taking care of your client as well?
Sometimes clients have their own people that they want to work with, but my recommendation is to work with the ones that I trust, I know they'll do a good job as far as like medical treatment and the investigation of all the injuries, you know. And I have a team of surgeons, of MDs, of chiropractors, and it's very important to have a good relationship between the attorney and those people to have a successful case.
I'm sure that that it's happened. We live in the fraud capital of the world, and I'm sure that a lot of people claim to have something that they don't really have. What do you do in that case?
Well, to be honest, the body is very sensitive. You know, these accidents, even if it's a small collision, could have big effects on the body, you know? So that's what MRIs were for. MRIs do not lie. You know, you get sent for an MRI and there's positive findings, they're there. There's no way of making that up.
So the MRI is your test to make sure to verify.
It's my lie detector.
Right.
And it's the lie detector for the insurance companies as well.
What do you do when you find that somebody says something and then the MRI shows different or shows nothing?
Well, I mean, in that case, and we have to drop the case. We'll drop the case if the injuries don't correlate. I mean, sometimes injuries are so small, all right, that they might not show up in an MRI, and we could still present those subjective complaints to the insurance companies, you know. But yeah, you know.
Tell me a little bit about yourself. We've know exactly what you do and the type of law that you practice. So where did you go to school? Where did you graduate? Where did you get your law degree from?
All right, so I was born in Cuba. I came over when I was 4. And I've been in Miami pretty much the whole time. All right, so I was raised here. And I did my college in FIU and then law school as well.
Great school.
Yeah.
It's a great school. That university has really
It's grown
tremendously.
And the reputation, the Florida bar passage rates is almost always number 1.
I know the CPA, school there has produced some of the best CPAs in the country, working for the big firms as well.
Hopefully attorneys too.
I'm sure. I've met a few, and now I'm glad that, that we have you here on the program. Let's talk a little bit about what drivers should have as far as coverage.
Right.
Some people, they just get the minimum required by the state, which is the PIP, whatever. That costs $300 or whatever for the year. But what do you recommend as an attorney, to our viewers that they should have as coverage?
So PIP is the basic, right? If you get into an accident, PIP is basically going to cover your medical bills up to $10,000, right? But what everybody should get is something called uninsured motorist coverage. So people say, I have full coverage, but that doesn't really mean much. This coverage that I'm talking about is something extra that most people that have full coverage don't have. And what uninsured motorist coverage means is that if you're in an accident, you are not at fault, but the person that hit you does not have insurance or has very little insurance, this coverage that is your own is going to replace the other person's lack of insurance and pay you for your injuries.
Wow.
Otherwise, if you get hit by somebody that has PIP, for example, right, but doesn't have bodily injury, which is like liability insurance, if you get hit by a person like that, you're not going to recover any money, no matter how much damage you suffered to your body as far as injuries.
Right.
You're going to recover 0 because there's no coverage for that at all. But if you had $10,000 in uninsured motorist, which is also called uninsured motorist, then that'll be available for you to recover if you have 100,000. So basically, it gives you the power to be in a situation that you could recover from yourself. It's extra money, but it's worth it, especially in Miami.
In the long run, when you need it, it'll be worth it.
Absolutely.
To have it. What about people may not know when they write the policies, when they buy the policies. How about if you loan me your car, and I'll take it for a spin and drive it or use it for a day or so, whatever, have an accident with it, but I'm not on your insurance policy. Is there a clause in an insurance policy to cover you as the owner,
Well,
or not?
Yes, as long as we're not living in the same address, then my policy will cover the accident.
But that comes standard with all the policies, or is there a clause that you need to?
But yeah, basically, it will cover as long as we're not living in the same address. If we're
Oh,
living
I
in the
see.
same address, then I have to add you as
To the policy.
as a driver.
I see. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So being wherever that person lives is actually what determines then the eligibility of.
Basically.
I see.
And even if you're driving my car, your own insurance coverage is gonna cover basically the PIP for yourself and things like that. So yeah, it's not a problem. You can drive other people's cars as long as you don't live with them, and it's not gonna have any negative effects.
So now let's talk a little bit about yourself and whatever. What I'm sure there is people that see this podcast that young people that may be considering becoming an attorney at some point in time. What do you recommend that they follow? What are the key ingredients for somebody to become an attorney? What do you recommend as a young man that did that went to school and became an attorney and has been practicing for a number of years?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that aside from law school, definitely involve yourself in the legal community even before graduating. Try to do internships. Try to get your foot in the door, potentially in big law firms, to pretty much develop your career that way. Unless you're set and always having your own practice, which of course, that should be everybody's ultimate goal, to be able to work for yourself and have your own schedule and have your own clients. Just be your own boss at the end of the day. But yeah, definitely involve yourself as much as possible in all aspects, aside from law school.
Well,
aside
that's
from law
great.
school.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, it's been educating, and it's been great to have you here with us this afternoon.
Thank you.
I'm sorry that we started a little bit later. We didn't finish the other podcast on time, but I'm glad that that you stayed and waited out.
Thank you
So
for having
I'd like to thank you for being here with us, and hopefully we'll see you again.
We will.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, folks. Until next time, when our next episode will take place.